Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current latest news. So basically, more things is currently updated in the press now, and I'm going to be officially updating you today on this current video. So reportedly now, currently, David De Gea, Manchester United goalkeeper, has reportedly Man United have activated a clause to extend his current contract until 2020. Reportedly, this has been potentially confirmed, and reportedly, Man United did have the option to extend his current contract by a further 12 months, and reportedly, Man United have activated a clause to extend his current contract now until 2020, and this, I think, has officially been confirmed as well. Reportedly, Man United have talks as well of potentially signing him new and improved deal at the club. According to the press, reportedly, Man United are aware that reportedly, if this new deal is to materialise, it has to be up to 300. It has to be a deal worth up to £300,000 a week, which would potentially make him the highest paid goalkeeper, the highest earners in the Manchester United squad, and the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. And reportedly, from David De Gea's perspective, according to the press, reportedly, David De Gea does want to sign a new deal with the club. Reportedly, Mourinho came out and basically said that David De Gea does want to stay at the club. Mourinho has praised him for his performances, and reportedly, Mourinho is now convinced that David De Gea will sign a new deal with the club. And quite a few weeks ago, Mourinho says he wasn't too convinced that David De Gea was going to sign a new deal with the club. And reportedly, we know that PSG and Juventus have monitored an interest in David De Gea. You know, he's won Player of the Year 4 out of 5 seasons, you know, with the club. He's won everything here apart from the Champions League. He has been here since 2011 as David De Gea, so he has been here like 8 years now, as we all know. Reportedly, it came out in the press that Juventus has been interested, as I said. Paris Saint-Germain have been interested. It came out in the press the other day that reportedly Paris Saint-Germain, were willing to offer him 60 million plus £300,000 a week, plus a 4-year contract as well. And we know that Paris Saint-Germain are under financial fair play. It reportedly said also that Kevin Riley, not Raiola, George Mendes, currently David De Gea's agent, had been in discussions with Juventus about him potentially making a move there. Reportedly, David De Gea is happy at Old Trafford, according to the press, and reportedly he could potentially, now sign a new deal with the club. But potentially, I think Man United are aware it's got to be a new deal worth up to £300,000 a week as well, which would potentially make him the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. Reportedly said in the press the other day that Man United were demanding £75 million for David De Gea next summer. But yeah, so Man United have reportedly activated this clause and extended his current contract till 2020 with Manchester United. And Mourinho says he wants to stay at the club. I think from David De Gea's perspective, he's happy at the club. Reportedly, he'd been linked with Real Madrid before. Real Madrid nearly got a deal over the line for the keeper in 2015, but obviously a deal didn't materialise, and he's still at Manchester United. His performances for Manchester United have been absolutely phenomenal. As I said, and yeah, so potentially we've extended his current contract now until 2020. Man United did have the option to trigger that further 12 months on his current contract, so hopefully David De Gea does sign a new long-term deal at the club. Mourinho's convinced he will. I think David De Gea feels satisfied at Manchester United. It came out in the press the other week that he's noticing the lack of ambition, and potentially, David De Gea, he said he wants to be up there, challenging and winning major honours, and potentially we're probably not going to do this under Jose Mourinho, as we all know. And potentially, Man United have identified a few replacements. If David De Gea, does not sign sign a new deal at the club. Reportedly, Man United have identified Jordan Pickford and Blanc. Jordan Pickford, a very, very good keeper. Very, very good in the World Cup. With England, as I said, potentially he's been at Everton since 2017. Everton obviously purchased him from Sunderland. He'd been at also a lot of teams on loan as well. Everton, I think, paid £30 million for him. He's got a 6-year contract with Everton, as we all know, Jordan Pickford. until 2024. He's won Everton's Player of the Season, Everton Player of the Season, and Everton Young Player of the Season, as well as Jordan Pickford. And reportedly, if Man United are to go for him, Everton will demand around £60 million. But potentially, Man United want to gonna go, if for him if David De Gea potentially leaves the club. Reportedly now he's looking realistic. Man United have been discussions of signing him a new deal. De Gea had turned it down, but reportedly now he feels happy, and actually De Gea could sign a new deal at the club. Reportedly, Man United have also identified Joao Blanc as a potential replacement for David De Gea as well. Blanco obviously is at Atletico Madrid, so he's highly experienced in Spain, as we all know. Atletico Madrid paid around £16 million for him from Benfica. He played for Benfica at the age of 17, won the domestic treble with them. He was there about 4 years, and then obviously Atletico Madrid purchased him. Reportedly, he's made about 174 appearances in all competitions for Atletico Madrid, and reportedly he's very, very good. And is the player. Reportedly, he's got an £87 million buyout clause. He's under contract till 2021 with Atletico Madrid, but reportedly Man United have identified him as a potential replacement as well if David De Gea is to leave the club, as I said. So potentially looking to the reports now that reportedly it's looking like that David De Gea will sign a new deal with the club. So that is very, very good news. But we've had to get the clause and extend his contract until 2020, as I said. Southampton Man United is on Saturday. As I said, I will be doing the preview for that game tomorrow, as I said. And potentially, under Mourinho's reportedly going to get tens of £1 million spent in January. I'm Mourinho out. Potentially, he doesn't suit the trappings of this club. Reportedly, he didn't have a good transfer window. He missed out on a lot of potential targets. In January, he's looking to get a strong central defender in and an attacker. And he is linked with a host of players. He's Jose Mourinho. I think he's publicly wrong for criticising the players, which he's done quite a few times. Also always talking about what the history, what he's achieved and the honours he's currently won. Jose Mourinho seems to be going on about that a lot. Potentially, we don't particularly care because obviously we know he's not succeeding at Manchester United. He's bought 11 players, he's sanctioned 14 off, he's just spent under £400 million, and we haven't been the same since Fergie left. And, potentially, we spent about around £1 billion, since Alex Ferguson left the club, and the team just basically the style of play of Mourinho's is not good at this club. The performances are not up to scratch, as we all know, and yeah. Yeah, and I think the board need to react to it. Partly Jose Mourinho, wants top four by January, but obviously if we carry on with his performances, this season we're not scoring enough goals, we're conceding far too many goals, as we're all currently aware. So defensively, we need to address that defence. We need another attacker in as well. And I said, regardless of who we get in, I just basically want Jose Mourinho at this club. He's very arrogant. He's getting older, and potentially, 1 minute he's happy and then 1 minute he's looking very, very sad. But, he's got a good pedigree because he has achieved very, very well in the past. He's won 3 trophies, since he's come to the club. It's basically like, one with Jose Mourinho again, potentially, when he's getting used to the newer era, getting used to the players and that. And, there's pundits out there that have questioned about his, tactics, his team selection, and I feel unhappy, with us under Jose Mourinho, especially, we're 14 points behind top, 12 behind second, and 7 points behind top 4 as well. Potentially, we have to basically get top 4 this season and Champions League for next season. As Champions League's not, we've qualified for the knockouts, as we all know, for February, but we've still got 1 game remaining. And look at statistics. The Champions League group stage this season, we've played 3 games at home, and 3 games at home, scored 1 goal. We scored 5 goals away in the Champions League, so you can see how much we are lacking goals indeed. And potentially, the club's got a lot of players coming to the end of the deals. And potentially players could leave as well. And, there's been today in the press, about Alexis Sanchez reportedly. He's told his friends reportedly that he does want to leave Manchester United. He's keen on the move to PSG. He isn't getting a lot of first team action from the start, especially. And reportedly that, Mourinho's had disputes, especially with the top players, since he's come to the club. And reportedly Sanchez is, annoyed, with Jose Mourinho, with Sanchez getting dropped for the young boys games on Tuesday night. He is on half £1 million a week. He's versatile. He can play numerous positions, but he's only been here since January, so he could go within a year. Could David De Gea has been here? Not David De Gea. I mean Sanchez. Sanchez has been here now within a year now, and potentially he could leave in January or next summer. PSG will into him last season, as I said, but he hasn't proven himself at Manchester United. He is proven in the Premier League in English football. He did very, very well with Arsenal. In his with Arsenal in 4 or 5 years under Arsene Wenger, good with Barcelona, good with under these, but he hasn't potentially proven himself at United because I think he wants to be up there, elevating to that higher level and winning silverware. And I think he's unhappy with Mourinho, he's unhappy with his managerial style, his style of play, and he's not getting along with a lot of the teammates here. Is Alexis Sanchez, and we are lacking in front of goals. Sanchez isn't doing it, since he's come. Lukaku, obviously, everyone speaks about him being a big game baller as well. He's proven to be a prolific goal scorer, as we all know him in the Premier League. His first season was very, very good at Manchester United. Second one so bad, but this season he hasn't scored in like 11, 12 games as Romelu Lukaku. So we do potentially up front need a backup option for Romelu Lukaku, as we all know. Aware and potentially, Martial as well. Potentially, he's been potentially our best outfield player this season. His performances have been fantastic, but in the last couple of games, he hasn't been to his potential as Antonio Martial. Reportedly, Man United have been in discussions signing him a new deal. Reportedly, Martial had actually turned the previous contract offer down. Reportedly, according to the press, there has been no succession yet of Man United agreeing Martial a new contract at the club. He's potentially a very, very good player. He's a good young age prospect, so he does need to grow and develop. But without a doubt, he's potentially been our best outfielder player this season, without a doubt. And potentially, we are linked with a lot of players, for the January window. Mourinho's looking to sanction players off, get players in the January window. So potentially, it's mentioned that Sanchez could potentially leave, and it's mentioned in the press, about potentially Man United, being linked with Christian Pulisic. Man United have reportedly entered the race for Christian Pulisic, £70 million reportedly. It's £70 million reportedly that Borussia Dortmund are demanding. Reportedly, Borussia Dortmund are not willing to do any business in January. But if Man U, Chelsea or Liverpool are willing to meet 70 million next summer, I think Borussia Dortmund are willing to do business. But he is a good young age prospect. He can play as an attacking mid. He can also play as a winner as well. And he's only 20 years of age, so he is in his prime years. And he's proven himself and established himself fantastically well in Germany with Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund have been in talks about securing him a new deal. His current contract comes to an end in 2020. He has been in the senior team with Borussia Dortmund since 2016. Reportedly, Man United have entered the race for the player, but he is a good young age prospect, and you think he'd complement Manchester United's team fantastically well if he wants to come. I don't think potentially he's Mourinho's, potential priority target, but reportedly he did say Man United have entered the race for the player, and Dortmund director confirmed they're not willing to do any business in January. Potentially they're willing to do business in the summer for the player. But potentially it said Chelsea and Liverpool have also been interested in him. Chelsea obviously are seeing him as a potential replacement for Eden Hazard, because Eden Hazard came out in the press and did potentially admit he could leave Chelsea during the course of next summer. Eden Hazard had admitted this. He's got currently 18 months on his contract left as Eden Hazard, and Chelsea reportedly identified him as a potential replacement for Eden Hazard of Chelsea. Obviously, Eden Hazard, very, very good player, as I said, got a good relationship with Mourinho, as I said, good attacking midfielder, can also play out wide as well, potentially the best player in the Premier League for me, without a doubt. Highly experienced in France as well with Lille, and potentially, PSG have been interested. I think Real Madrid have been interested, but potentially from Eden Hazard's perspective, he has ruled out the move of him potentially making a move to PSG. In the Premier League, he's made over 2 century appearances and scored 76 goals as Eden Hazard. So he's proven well in the Premier League. He's been in the Premier League now, he's at 6 or 7 years. Or something like that, because Chelsea have had him since 2012. He's won awards for himself, he's won honours with Chelsea. He won honours, during his days with Lille. He was at Lille for like about 8 years or something. He'd risen up the youth system with them fantastically well. Began his made his professional debut for Lille at just the age of 16. Did Eden Hazard, and he won the double there, made over 190 appearances, for Lille as well, and he's an absolutely world class player. But potentially Chelsea are identifying Christian Pulisic as a potential replacement. It's also mentioned that Liverpool have been interested in Christian Pulisic as well. Obviously, Klopp's got a good relationship with Christian Pulisic, as we all know, because Klopp spent just under £400 million 6 transfer windows. He had a good pedigree with Borussia Dortmund, and he spent quite a bit of money into the Liverpool team, and potentially Christian Pulisic, Klopp's worked with Christian Pulisic in the past, so Klopp's a big admirer of Christian Pulisic, as I said. And reportedly, it did say, Liverpool, it will take up to £70 million. It did say Liverpool were willing to offload Fabinho. Reportedly, it did say PSG were potentially interested in Fabinho. Reportedly, Liverpool board are potentially looking to sanction him off. I think Liverpool will demand around, what they've currently paid for him back in May. He's only been at Liverpool since May, which was about 40 million pounds. Hasn't really made an impact at Liverpool at the moment as a Fabinho. He can play as defensive mid. He can play as a fullback as well. He had 5 good years with Monaco. Played 231 times, scored 233 times, scored 31 goals as well. So, and won the La Liga, with them for the first time in nearly 2 decades. And Monaco had a lot of good young talented players. Obviously was it last year, so they lost a lot of the best players. Did Monaco, they was part of the team, when they won the La Liga for the first time in nearly 2 decades. But they lost, obviously, a lot of the best players. Did Monaco. And potentially Liverpool obviously looking to sanction him off, to invest in money to try and get Christian Pulisic as well. But potentially Chelsea could be the favourite to get him. Chelsea were keen on getting the player in January, but obviously from Borussia Dortmund's perspective, Borussia Dortmund are not willing to do any business for the player in January, as I currently said. But I think he would do very, very well in the Premier League, if Christian Pulisic, wants to come. So potentially we'll see what happens about that. Potentially, Ivan Perisic has been mentioned in the press, obviously a Manchester United target. He'd be an ideal replacement, for Alexis Sanchez. Man United, potentially may go for Ivan Perisic in January. Reportedly, from Ivan Perisic's perspective, he's keen on playing in the Premier League, is Ivan Perisic. And Ivan Perisic said he dreams of playing in the Premier League as well. Good two-footed player, good in the air, into the box. Hasn't been to his best this season for Inter Milan. Man United had been in talks, obviously, last summer of potentially getting the player. Man United had a few bids turned down, but obviously, as I said, Inter Milan were demanding in the region of £48 million. Manchester United obviously were reluctant to pay up to £48 million for Ivan Perisic, and he can play as a winner, he can play as and can also play as a second winner as well. Ivan Perisic, I think he would complement the Manchester United squad fantastically well. As I said, he's been at Dortmund in the past, Club Brugge and Wolfsburg in the past as well. And potentially, we all know that Inter Milan are under financial fair. They're under financial fair play regulations, and obviously, they're looking to sanction quite a few players off. Obviously, to avoid financial fair play sanctions, and potentially, Inter Milan reportedly now, as it came out in the press the other week, they're demanding another one around £31 million for Ivan Perisic, and reportedly he could be part of the deal of reportedly Inter Milan getting Paul Pogba, as I said. Because we heard the rumours the other week, as I do keep updating you, that Inter Milan reportedly are willing to pay £200 million. The rumours stemmed basically from stemmed, since Beppe Marotta became the Inter Milan CEO and director. Reportedly, from his perspective, he's looking to sanction Perisic and Milan Skriniar, who have been potential Manchester United targets, to get Paul Pogba. So it said it is a players plus cash deal. It said £200 million, £200 million they're willing to offer for Pogba, plus they're willing to offer two of their players a part of the deal. Obviously, Inter Milan are looking to hijack Juventus' move for Paul Pogba, because from Pogba's perspective, he admitted he wanted to return to Turin. He admitted he potentially told the Juventus players that he wanted to make a return back to Juventus, because potentially he hasn't really proven himself in English football. He had 5 good years with Juventus. We know since he's been here, he's had disputes with Jose Mourinho as well. He's supposed to be potentially our most essential midfielder. And, Fergie let him go in 2012, as we all know, because, he wasn't getting enough game time, Paul Pogba. As we all know, according to Raiola, basically, Pogba and Mourinho fixed the relationship up, and I think, potentially Man United will be reluctant to sell Pogba, but potentially with this reported offer, allegedly, with this alleged offer, reportedly this could persuade Man United to sanction him off, because it said reportedly Inter Milan are willing to pay up to £200 million, which would potentially make him the most expensive player in the world if this deal was to materialise for Paul Pogba, as I said. But you can tell in that midfield the balance of play and the style of play is different, with out Paul Pogba in it, as we all know. But potentially we know that Manchester United, have been linked with quite a few centre-backs as well. That's been reported, in the media, in the last few weeks, potentially. And that's been mentioned in the media, potentially we've been linked with Joachim Andersen and Nikola Milkovic. Joachim Andersen, he represented Denmark from under 16 to under 21. I think he is only 22 years of age. He is a centre-back for Sampdoria, is the player as well. In the past, he's also risen up the ranks with Midtjylland, Copenhagen, FC20, and he's been in senior teams since like 2013. He's been at George 20 in the past as well as the player. Reported Man United have identified him as a potential target, because we do need a strong centre back, as we all know, because we've obviously got Bailey, who can't get into the team at the moment. We've got Rojo, who's injured, who hasn't been the same player for me since he got injured against Anderlecht, potentially. So yeah, Mourinho said he's looking to sanction them two players off, as he said quite a few weeks ago. Man United have been linked with Nikola Milkovic. He's a Florentina player. He's under contract with them till 2022, 2023, I think, as well. And reportedly he's an ex-Pels Grey player as well. I think, he's rated at around £50 million. Man United have reportedly showed an interest in him as well. And potentially, Gordon's been mentioned, Toby Alderweireld's been mentioned as well. So we are linked with quite a few centre-backs as well. Reportedly, Koularabi has been mentioned, the current Napoli player who's been at Napoli since 2014. Reportedly, reading up about his stats, he's very, very good, as I said. Reportedly, he said he's rated at around £89 million, his valuation. Man United reportedly put around £77-80 million bidding for him quite a few weeks ago. Reportedly, Napoli had turned this down. Man United are keen on the player, considering, if Napoli, what to sanction him off, for around £89 million, they'd make a huge profit on the player, because they only paid £7 million for him from Genk, as we all currently know, and he's been at Metz in the plastic players, centre-back, full-back, and a defensive midfielder as well. So potentially, do you think he'd complement our team fantastically well if he was to come? So potentially Man United have been linked with him as well. So we have got a lot of potential targets. As I said, Orphanage mentioned in the press the other week. As I said, Marco Orphanage reportedly now Man United have ruled out potentially making a move for Marco Orphanage. He's proven in the Premier League. He is known for scoring goals. As I said, he's Marco Orphanage. He's done it at West Ham since he's been there. He's only been at West Ham, since 2017 as a player. It was good during his Stoke days. I think he was at Stoke 4 years. He's obviously worked with Jose Mourinho in the past. I think he didn't get much of a chance at Inter Milan because obviously I think he was injured. But reportedly confirmed he's been at 20 in the past to Werder Bremen. You know, he's a regular at Werder Bremen. He had 3 good years with them, and you know, he had 4 good years with Stoke, and he's been at West Ham since like 2017 now. And West Ham, I think, paid in the region just like, was it £20 million for the player, something like that. But reportedly, confirmed quite a few weeks ago, the player wanted to leave. His current representatives, Orphanage, just confirmed he wanted to leave because he wanted to play in Champions League football. But accordingly now, Man United have ruled the move out of going for him in January. Reportedly, he's rated at around £50 million. So potentially it showed that Man United have showed an interest in him as well. But reportedly, according to the media now, they have ruled a move out for Marco Orphanage. But we need someone there to lead them lines, and we need a prolific goal scorer up there, because Lukaku isn't proving it this season. Rashford hasn't been to his potential this season. Sanchez has not proven himself, since he's come to the club as well. So I think potentially Man United's right hand side potentially needs addressing as well. We have got a lot of players, coming to the end of the deals. We have got a lot of players coming to the end of the deals, and potentially Mourinho wants to get top 4 by January. Obviously Giggs has had a say about Mourinho. Giggs is backing Jose Mourinho, considering the success he's had over the years. He believes he can turn it around at Manchester United. Sahar said quite a few weeks ago that he believes Jose Mourinho can turn it around at Manchester United. I think Sahar, is actually, backed Jose Mourinho. He believes he can turn it around. Scholes, he's not happy. Because Scholes said, Man United on Tuesday they looked like they were lacking energy. Said if they were playing a decent team, we would have lost that game, and potentially, he said Man United potentially were lucky to win, and he said there was lack of energy in every part of the pitch. Did Paul Scholes, so potentially Paul Scholes, was disappointed. He said it was an awful display, and potentially we were lucky to win on Tuesday. And potentially I just have no confidence or faith that Mourinho's going to change his team around with regards to who he gets in. I think he's changed the whole identity at the club. Potentially so far in the league this season, we've played 13. It's his worst start to a season for absolute years. We've played 13, won 6, drawn 3, and lost 4 at the moment. Now, goal difference is very, very bad at the moment. I think it's full of mediocre players, but potentially I don't think Mourinho knows his potential best 11. And potentially now we've got to win every game up until Christmas, for us to have any chance of, the top 4. As I said, we do have winnable games, going into the Christmas period, as I said. But Mourinho just needs to basically stop being arrogant, stop, talking about what he's achieved and what he's won in the past, as he has been doing. He's criticised the players publicly, which I think is wrong. A lot of fans criticise Mourinho, such as me. And potentially now Mourinho's having a go back about this as well. But potentially you can't even compare Mourinho now, to the likes of Pep Guardiola or even Jurgen Klopp. You can't even compare Mourinho to them. And potentially, we're nowhere near on the same level City, Liverpool or Chelsea at the moment, or even the top European sides. We're not even in the top 10, I don't think. Potentially, things need to turn around, and potentially we are quite a few years off the Premier League, as we all know, because Jose Mourinho's expectations was for us, considering the history of this club, there were nearly 3 decades success we had with Fergie, and the history of Mourinho. What the expectation levels was to get us back being competitive, and to be winning on and challenging for major honours, which we have failed to do, as I currently said. But the breaking news is about potentially David De Gea. Reportedly, potentially we've had to take that clause to extend his contract till 2020, which is very, very good news. So potentially, Man United, if he is to go and he doesn't sign a new deal, we can cash in for the player rather than let him go 3. But potentially now, according to reports, David De Gea does potentially feel happy here, and potentially could be signing a new long-term deal. Man United have to, demand, what he's demanding, which is around £300,000 a week. And Man United will probably, give him this wage, potentially, to convince him, to stay at Manchester United and signing this new long-term deal at the club. So, yeah, that's good news. As I said, I think Mourinho needs to drop Matic for Southampton. Mourinho probably won't, because obviously he has a good relationship with Nemanja Matic. I think he needs to drop Matic for Southampton, in my opinion. Maybe give Pereira the chance, put Fred in there, as he did on Tuesday night. And potentially, as I said, Sanchez feels frustrated because he got dropped on Tuesday night. Isn't getting a lot of his team football. As I said, I think potentially he needs to start Mata against Southampton. Obviously dropped him on Tuesday night. He brought him on as substitute for Valencia, as we all know. He didn't start Pogba and Lukaku from the start. He brought them on as substitutes because obviously Pogba's performance against Crystal Palace was poor. Even Martial's was poor against Crystal Palace. To be quite fair, but we know he's been potentially our best outfield player this season, without a shadow of a doubt, and we all know this, especially. And potentially Victor Lindelof. I think he's injured until late December. It has been confirmed. Mourinho said he wants to accept him back by Christmas because reportedly he suffered a muscular injury and problem. So potentially he's going to be a miss because dramatically he's improved this season at that centre back partnership as Victor Lindelof, to be quite fair. So potentially he's out. Potentially I think Rojo's still injured. But I will be doing the preview for Man United Southampton tomorrow. We're away from home. Potentially we've only won 3 games away from home in the Premier League, this season. So the away form's not very good so far in the league this season. And we need to bolster that squad up in January. But as I said, I wouldn't trust Jose with that money in the January transfer window, as I said. So yeah, so potentially, what do you think to this news about David De Gea extending his contract till 2020? What do you think to this situation? Drop your comments live on the channel. If you do consider subscribe to the channel as always, and take care. God bless, guys, and I'll see you all again very, very soon, guys. And there'll be more live videos coming up very, very soon. Take care.